What I really like to look for in whiskies is when you get a bit of back and forth between the spirit and the cask. And I think right at the front, you don't really get that sherry cask influence. You get a lot of the barley notes come forward.
I'm not sure. People can make up their own mind about the best way to order a whiskey. I think whatever way. I'd be trying it both ways if possible.
Ooh, 2014, thereabouts?
So I think I joined the society in 2019, just before the 2019 Gathering Pack. I remember going along to my first event and having a pretty great time there, being able to meet other like-minded whiskey people.
I joined the society, it would have been probably mid to late 2018.
Last year, actually. I've been a member for just about 1 year.
Because I was actually going to Scotland for New Year's 2018 into 19, and I wanted to go to the vaults.
Quite a few. Given the lockdowns that we had, we organised a number of Zoom online tastings where everyone who was involved would sample up a bunch of things, send it out to everyone else. We'd sit down at the beginning of the night, no one would tell each other what we'd poured each other, and started nosing, started tasting, discussed it, and then had a reveal.
I have. So I did one blind tasting when I was living in New Zealand. One of the kind of local liquor stores, they'd kind of put on a spread where there were 6 whiskies, you get 7 glasses, and whoever gets the most right wins a little prize. So I have done blind tasting there. It wasn't ever very successful, but that doesn't stop me from trying again.
I have not. This is my first blind tasting.
Not like this. There was one society event which is probably the most, blind tasting I've done. It was a blind tasting in the sense that Andrew Durbidge, who was hosting, just didn't tell us what the whiskies were until we tried them.
Well, it's good.
Yeah, this one's delicious.
It's reasonably sort of a light fruitiness on the nose.
Very fresh. It's very summery, in the park sort of dram.
Yeah, just on the nose, I'm thinking there's some light amounts of vanilla, a little bit of kind of caramel. If I was going to be hazarding a guess, I'd be guessing some kind of bourbon cask, maybe like 2nd or 3rd fill off the top of my head.
A little bit sweeter, a little bit of vanilla. Not too much burn.
Just off the nose, I haven't tried it yet, but it fits fairly specifically into the sweet, fruity and mellow.
I'm guessing that's a young and sprightly, or would fall under a young and sprightly, thereabouts.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say it's probably that sort of high 50s ABV, and probably I would say 7 to 10 years old.
There's also kind of like a slight kind of, I always say bakery note. It's like a bit doughy or something like that.
Definitely believe it's sweet, fruity and mellow. You'll have to tell me afterwards if it is.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I think there's I'd always associate with kind of a candied lolly kind of note, like some Red Allen snakes or something like that is something I traditionally associate with kind of like Irish whiskey.
Blackberries. Blackberry is probably the most forward note. But it's quite nice.
What would you call this whiskey if you were to give it a name?
What would I call it?
Names. No, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, some like spicy and fizzy or something like that, because there's kind of that sweetness, but then it's balanced out by a kind of small amount of spiciness on the end.
Oh, something sweet and delightful, I guess. Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
It's just quite vibrant in the mouth. It isn't kind of just a whiskey which is kind of quite dull. The flavour comes and goes. It kind of jumps around a fair bit.
I drove down from Sydney a couple of days ago, stopped at a lovely town called Beechworth, where there is the famous Beechworth Bakery.
I think I might work through all of them and come back and name them.
And I had a tart at the bakery, and it's called a snickerdoodle, which is sort of a short crust with a bit of custard inside, and you got raspberries, blueberries, and all that sort of goodness. And I think that might have to be the name that I submit, snickerdoodle.
It's a lot darker. A lot more amber color to it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's just the sweetness, like this is the contrast between those first two, where the first one might have been kind of candied, or this one is fresh fruit.
So we've obviously got a darker colour, which Doesn't tell us a great deal.
Based on the nose, that would be DRDF.
I think there definitely is some element of sherry maturation in there, or some sort of similar cask treatment.
You got your usual sort of woody, not quite wood polish, but that sort of wood grain, cut wood sort of smell.
Definitely more depth of flavor, a lot more like chocolatey.
Yeah, that is so gentle on the palate. That just goes down so easily. I'd say that there's like a bit of, almost a bit of golden syrup, or like there's, wouldn't say maple syrup, but yeah, definitely towards golden syrup.
Yeah, there's a real toasted nut element to it. That's really cool.
I hope it is a sherry cask after I've been talking it up.
Seems like it's a different type of cask. I'd guess probably a sherry cask, something along those lines.
I'd be pretty confident that it would be sweet, fruity, and mellow.
There's still those kind of fruity notes as well.
Not as sweet as the other one, but definitely more interesting, more background flavors.
I will just try adding a few drops of water, see whether it makes it better or worse and how it changes. It could open up.
The palate mirrors the nose in that you get the dried fruits and the wood grain. I guess I'm looking for like a cut wood, like you're in a workshop and you've just put something through a bandsaw.
Need water.
No, I didn't. You can always put more water in. You can't always take it out. Whiskey number 3.
All right.
Blue cheese right on the nose straight away.
That's got some smoke to it there.
It's a young peated whiskey.
But the first thing you notice is this is a really peaty whiskey.
You're also sitting near some blue cheese.
Yeah, well, I didn't get blue cheese for the first couple, so I'm going to say that it is unique.
It smells like salt spray.
But it's kind of like a sweeter kind of lobster or something like that, maybe. But it's like it's been like being cooked on a beach or something like that, because there's still those kind of rich barbecue notes.
I'm getting some peat notes, but it doesn't scream Islay at me.
I was going to say I recognized that flavor from the first sip, but then it changed as I was drinking it, and then I didn't recognize it anymore.
Such a different mouthfeel to the previous two. Like, this is a much oilier whiskey, and it just kind of coats your palate, and you're getting all of these kind of barbecue flavors.
Very good kind of brininess, saltiness to it.
So the spirit tastes sweet.
Because I don't think it's a very old whiskey either. I think it might be sort of 8 to 12 years.
It's clearly young because you can taste the smoke on it. It's not become that older peated whiskey where it's more a higher salinity, or that type of aged peat where you start losing the smokiness.
If I was going to hazard a guess, I'd be guessing somewhere on Islay, because rather than the kind of peat that you get, say, on mainland Scotland, where it's a lot more kind of made of bushes and things like that, this has definitely got those kind of salty kind of notes, which I associate a bit more with Islay.
I really do think it might be an inland peat.
Not too bad, not overly peated, not overly woody or anything like that.
Oops. Here we go. So,
It's number 1. What's in here?
It's not a society bottle.
It is, but it's Gathering 2022.
how exciting.
Gathering, okay, this is one of my favorite distilleries, and it's a Glenlossie.
It was very good. It was very, I liked it a lot. I thought that was pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say the flavor profile or anything like that on it, but
That's going to be a cracker.
All right, so what did I guess? I guessed Distillery 1, but I had no idea really.
Okay.
oh, fantastic. At the end of a perfect day, Distillery 35.
That's pretty good specs on that one.
Yeah. Older, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I might have undersold it by saying, yeah, there's a bit of age on that.
And the age explains the color on it.
That's quite a lovely whiskey to be able to try then.
Yeah, Northern Dignified. That's really interesting. An ex-bourbon hogshead was completely wrong, finished in a toasted hogshead.
All right.
Campbelltown.
93, 163, a knockout combination.
It's actually distilled on my birthday.
And finished in a rum barrel. Would have never have picked that.
I was actually thinking on the way over here, I wonder if I'll be able to pick out any, left field cask finishes that they're in, and there's no way I would have picked that was ex-rum, so.
Tasting note says, the right cross, a peaty spirit from the land of the gales, the left hook, a funky sweet rum from the land of many waters. Know what I mean. Not exactly what I said, but you could probably translate into about the same thing, I reckon.
Campbelltown, they do some really, really interesting whiskies.
Definitely my winner.
The general, I guess, accepted flow tends to be keep the peat right at the end because it will overwhelm your palate.
I'd say 3 different, maybe even from the same area. You do 3 space sides, you do 3 aisles, give you the different distilleries from the same area, same environment, and see how different casks and different distilleries do their whiskeys. It all changes, just depends on who makes it and where it comes from.
I think trying to blind taste to compare similar things is where I think you get the most fun out of it.
We always have to be quite strategic when you're kind of having a whiskey tasting. You want to be going through 9 whiskeys. You want to make sure you're well fed and have all your fats and oils so you don't get too drunk too early.
Go through everything and try to keep some for later because these really evolve over time.
When I kind of run tastings for my friends, what I kind of tend to do is it will be like, oh, I bought a new SMWS whiskey this month, and then we'll generally try that kind of first while our palates are the most fresh, and then as we go on, we'll kind of jump back to other kind of things. But whenever I'm putting whiskeys together, you want contrast.
Anything chocolate, anything to kind of, I guess it would enhance the flavor profile of some of these, like definitely like anything chocolatey or anything like with that.
If you have a mix of 40% whiskeys and cask strength whiskeys, maybe get to the reduced strength whiskeys first before your palate's overwhelmed with a higher ABV.
There's been a few like whiskey infused ice creams that a few people have had as well, which have been fantastic to kind of play around with as well. So
I think not knowing where it comes from and what it is, you look for notes a little bit more.
Try to have a bit of black coffee or soda water or something to refresh your palate as you go, to help you taste new things. Have some water as well because that'll change how you taste and smell these whiskeys.
if I was organising with my friends, I'd probably throw in a few more whiskies, I think, as well. I think my friends would be unhappy if they came to my place and only had 3 whiskies.
Did I learn anything? I think not knowing where it comes from and what it is, you look for notes a little bit more.
Well, being a member of the society for 3 years, there's still so much more for me to learn, and though I can pick out on little things, understanding those little details and how they interact is such a fascinating journey to be on, and happy I'm still going.
That I need to definitely look at more of this.
Have you learned anything from today's blind tasting?
Yeah, anytime you guys want volunteers, raise your hand.